Ladies and gentlemen, I am Thienrapo Munyota. I am a Christ type 2. So I study at the MPhil of the media study. My topic today is the effect of the media crisis on Bangkok board game cafe owner under the COVID-19 situations. I want to thank you to the Sir Canon S, Kailas Goshik, and the Rich Ralph for the perfectly guide. Next slide, please. Okay. Okay. So the COVID-19 pandemic in Thailand, the situation was become a concern point in March 2020. People who get used to going outside has restrict and go to work from home as the home protocol. The first curfew was started on the 3rd April. So the social distancing measure is used after the since even this is no report about the infect inside of Thailand. So people only receive the news from the internet. For the additions, I already highlight the yellow highlight for the main idea. You can follow easily. Okay. The many fake news about the coronavirus was spreading through the board game in communication applications. The most application is used for communicating is Facebook and Line application. So the Line application is used more often for direct chat to broadcast the news and connect to the author in Thailand. People were trying to adapt the new normal life being into the social distancing and work from home. Next slide, please. Okay. Economic in Thailand, according to these situations, people avoided touching everything they may suspect was infected by the virus. The many business that may contact the customer were affected and reduce their income. So of the business in Thailand lack of the money to spend in S1 for stocking the produce or materials. Okay. Fake news. The fake news in Thailand is also found in the live application sharing into peer-to-peer. The many thing in the news has content about to discredit about the government management, about the vaccine, about the cure medicine for coronavirus, the number of the infected people, the dangerous spread for the infected virus. This fake news also make the people terror and save money for only sparing the food and daily necessity. So the board game cafe. If we close into the board game cafe, the business is a service and entertainment is getting the most negative effect. There is no report or survey about the many board game closed in the period because the measure are not allowed to use board game in the public place because they are afraid to touch directly to the virus. So the board game needs player more two player to play and a person can make the infect contact from the somewhere outside. So the board game cafe in the, the board game is one of the people get interest because if someone do the work from home or home protocol that is have a lot of free time, the board game is one of the people get interest. Even the board game cafe is not safe to visit, but people choose to buy the board game and play it with family. The online board game also provided player to, but the player prefer to touch and play it with real board game material. Okay, the cost of board game in Thailand is the same if compared to the period before the pandemic. However, the many YouTubers summarize the cost of the board game worldwide is increased because the shipping cost is higher than the normal situation. The direction and position of the board game Thailand are also down on player. This research will collect the data on the board game cafe owner about the adapting strategy and change the way of the service that may be affected by the fake news and COVID-19 situations. So the research objectives are The number one is to clarify the board game business position in the COVID-19 situation. The number two is clarify the way of changing the position of the board game cafe during the COVID-19 situation. Recent methodology, the population, yes, absolutely yes, it's a board game cafe owner in Thailand, but sample I use 12 persons. And method, I use a qualitative with a snowball sampling because I want to interview and I want to discuss about the uh, board game situation in Thailand during this pandemic. And statistical technique, I use a component analysis, and two is an in-depth interview. So the result is I just copy and paste, but I already summarized at the last. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. I already summary because I don't want to waste your time. The number of owner is 12. Yes, it's 12. And age between the 29 to 61. The year of the owner is 3 to 11. So it's a component analysis. I want to count about the content or about the idea of the interview and categorize them as the effect of the fake news position and customer reflections. So the effect of the fake news, but is unfortunately, is sales amount increase? Yes, it's increased about the 8 times. They mentioned about the 8 times. And sales amount decreased about the 2 times. Just only two owners just mentioned about that. And cafe temporarily closed. Yes, it's about the social distancing. And completely closed, just one. So the positions change to the retailer. Retailers mean retailers about the board game only is just a 5 time. And pre-order store about a 4 time. Pre-order just mean you want to, if you want to buy something in the board game, but there is no Thai board game. You want to pre-order it from the outside. For importing, yes, that can do the pre-order for you. And change to the board game hub. Hub for rent. That is mean you can go to the store and you can rent about that. Like you can rent about the board game and you will be back in a 3 day and send it back. So the customer reflections order the board game in live application 6 times. Then bought game 2 times, buy as a second hand is a 2 time because economic in Thailand is kind of bad. That is why they want to buy a second hand and query board game for children as a 2 time. So it's bring to the discussion. Next slide, please. Okay, it's bring to the discussion in the COVID-19 pandemic. The board game cafe in Thailand is becoming the online board game seller on the board game half range. The measure about the social distancing is very effective and force the board game cafe to close. The position of the board game cafe will change into the retailer. That the product for selling is board game, just only the board game. The live application is the most powerful channel to connect with the customer, not WhatsApps. Some board game cafe owner try to cut loss the cost by selling the board game as a second-hand board game to the survive in the economic crisis. However, all of the owner have the same opinion that the rental cost of board game is very expensive. That is why they can save costs about the rental place for board game cafe. The fake news about the economic or commercial may positively some business like board game selling because if they don't want to spend to the board game cafe, they want to spend a lot of money to buy a board game. Okay, thank you for watching. If you want to question or something to exchange the experience, please. I will listening. I will listen. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much for the presentation. I have just one clarification. What was your method for getting in touch with the cafe owners? Because of the pandemic, were you able to meet them, or did you contact them through online email, or how did it go about?
First, I go to I I joined in that Facebook group. It's called the Thai Board Game Law Cafe. That is collect many people who have business about the board game, who is the board game cafe owner or even the board game player. That is why I get the one of the list, and I list the one of the administrator that he is the uh, board game cafe owners. That is why I use the snowballs.
Oh,
Because
okay.
yes, because I don't know who is the board game cafe owner, and yes, he suggests me about the 10 or more 11 to online interviewing.